Vivek Ramaswamy, who has been surging in the polls recently, is a very delusional outsider trying to make his way into politics, starting where most people do, the President of the United States. And in being very effective rhetorically, he's actually found himself gaining support on the right, especially with the younger conservatives. It seems the better that you can blend unhinged with populist takes, the better you'll do in the polls as a Republican. He also fondles Trump's balls consistently, which really resonates with the Republican base at the moment, who just eats that up. And as he can articulate the Trump defenses, people flock to him and his talking points. Now, Fox News, of all people, especially Brian Kilmeade, drilled into Vivek over his absolutely absurd foreign policy takes that he unleashed during the debate, trying to shut down a UN ambassador and Nikki Haley, Vivek himself being someone who admittedly started studying foreign politics and policies 6 months ago. The foreign policy he laid out at the debate was pretty much kiss Putin's ass, give him whatever he wants, and hopefully he'll like us enough to side with us instead of China, which is as absolutely ridiculous as it sounds. But for people who might not understand the full nuance of foreign policy, the way he's wrapping it around being anti-Ukraine defense, anti-war, it might seem to be just what they want to hear. But being anti-Ukraine is hardly being anti-war, and we'll get into that. I mean, Vivek is literally saying, I know you just invaded a country against our wishes, but wherever the lines are now, wherever your military currently occupies, say less, Putin, that's yours. And I know we're completely reinforcing Putin for invading to get territory and then giving him territory, which is exactly what he wants. But maybe, just maybe, he won't do it again. That's giga brain, dog. He'll just see it as a really nice gesture. And then he'll let Vivek come and visit him, and Vivek can go, hey, I gave you Ukraine. As if that would even be our call in the first place. It's another country, and Ukraine's not going to go for that, but I digress. Let's say he did. And that is supposed to be enough for him to say, ditch China now. Come to US. Remember what I did for you, which is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense, which we will get into more. But first, let's watch Fox drill into him because it's pretty funny.
And I think the existing foreign policy establishment has gotten it wrong for so long, they're getting it wrong here too. We are driving Russia further into China's hands.
But they invaded Ukraine, Vivek. They invaded Ukraine. Just give them the 20% of the country.
Well, here's what I would say.
Notice here how he goes, well, yeah, kind of exactly. But let me filibuster and talk really fast around it to distract everyone from conceding that point. But okay, let's keep going.
I will make him actually abide by an agreement with the United States with hard conditions attached to it. If they resume joint military exercises with China, there will be consequences in my deal with them. We will immediately then look at other actions that actually put Russia in a tougher spot than they are even now. Maximum pressure campaign. But what I've said is we can actually go the other direction. Reopen economic relations with Russia. Freeze the current lines of control. Make a commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO.
So let Russia take 20% of the country. They took it. They just took it.
The reality,
and you said
the reality
let them
is,
have it?
what do we get in return?
But listen.
The reality is what we get in return. I'm keeping my eye on the prize, Brian. Here's the eye on the prize. The Russia-China alliance is the greatest threat the United States faces.
All right, so to try to explain this, let's simplify some really nuanced stuff here. Vivek is literally saying if, and that's a big if, because again, Ukraine would never do this. If he could work into some sort of a peace deal that Russia gets all the land that they currently occupy with their military, that their military owns, he's hoping that that alone is going to be enough for Putin to cease his relationship with China. To what? Show us he's grateful for that, for giving him territory that he invaded to take? Like, no, what you're doing is you're reinforcing that behavior, increasing the likelihood that you'll see it again. Trust me, I'm a behavioral therapist. You're showing him that if he invades a country, does enough damage, controls some of their land, makes a big enough stink about it, who's to say Vivek won't just give him that land also and hope it makes him happy, rather than be like, oh, okay, now he's actually going to do something about it, right? This is a prayer at best, but what it sounds like to me is the nerdy kid who's willing to do a bunch of desperate shit to the cool kids, like in hopes that they'll like him. Like he's hoping that he can impress Putin into wanting to work with him more than he wants to recover the old USSR, which is insane. It's insanity. you're a nut job. Putin invaded Ukraine to get parts of it, and Vivek thinks rewarding him for those actions will make those actions less likely to happen. Rewarding his ambitions will make him have less ambitions. You're just vindicating him, Vivek. I don't get that. And again, who's to say down the line he wouldn't just invade again? I mean, he would have gotten pretty good results when he did it the first time, right? He got the land that he wanted. Make that make sense to me. Because at best, you're prolonging the issue, maybe kicking the can down to the next president, but you're not solving anything. And if anything, you're making the situation worse. This creates a threat for that part of the world to what? Calm your paranoia about an alliance that it's not gonna end anyway. And if not, it's making a threat for the entire world if next Putin decides to invade a NATO country.
We're watching the Russian army deconstructed before our eyes without any American blood. They are the aggressors, and our foreign policy did win us the Cold War,
Yes.
which I assume you know.
Yes, in the modern Cold War, Brian, that the old establishment needs to wake up and see is that the USSR doesn't exist anymore, but communist China does.
Which is true! The Russians have been taking heavy losses without America even needing to put boots on the ground. What would be the reasoning to vindicate Putin for invading? What is the reason? It's not like we're losing. And Putin has showed with his actions what his motives are, just because he hasn't spoke them into existence. I don't know why people are trying to use that. And as much as I hate to say it, Brian Kilmeade is right here, man. You're not going to pull Russia and China apart, especially not just by handing Russia land. That is a win for both Russia and China. He's overlooking a lot of nuance here. It's tough. It's tough to get through this. I want to play one last clip, though, and that's the Taiwan policy and covering kind of his thoughts on that. So let's take a look, and I'll let you know what I think.
I said we will defend Taiwan, at least until we have semiconductor independence in this country,
and
at which point we will reevaluate.
And then we let them take it.
At which point we'll reevaluate.
Right. The classic, we'll rediscuss when the time comes, right? When a politician doesn't want to answer a question, it is always because he doesn't want to concede the point. The point that he does not want to concede here is that he does not care about covering Taiwan. He does not care about protecting them. And once he gains semiconductor independence, he's going to let them all fly on their own. And because that's the only thing that matters to him about Taiwan. And I'm not going to talk the next 20 minutes about the incredible, extreme complexities that is foreign policies and the countries we need to keep close and who and why. But it is important to know that Taiwan is important to America, is important to the military fragility of that region, for a lot more reasons past semiconductors. The location of Taiwan gives them a lot of inherent military value. When the US occupies Taiwan, it's hard for China to project its power beyond its shores, with us like holding down the waters and being able to run, boats up and down the lines. This makes it a lot easier for us to defend our Asian allies. With Taiwan under China's control, US would effectively be shut off from effectively bringing our military up, at least, and it would at least make it far more difficult to happen. China would have the upper hand, and we would pretty much be more unlikely to prevent China from trying to take a bid for regional power. And if they attack one of our allies there, boom, that's another world war. And that's something that Vivek is too short-sighted to understand, or frankly, I think he's kind of just being dishonest. If you enjoyed this video, we are Social Society. We are a commentary channel based on society, politics, and the economy. We also get a touch bit philosophical at times and like to talk about the psychology of things. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. Because the purpose of this channel is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth, and the only way we can do that is together. Peace.